Hello and welcome to another episode of The Third Wheel. I'm one of your hosts, Hamish,
And I'm your other host, Aaron.
and today we're joined by Arub. I hope I said that correctly, who is a call out from Hannah's episode. Would you like to introduce yourself a little?
Hi guys, it's Arub. That's about it really. There's not much else to say about me.
Yeah, you were a call out. Did you mention she was a call out from Hannah's episode? Can't remember. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you know Hannah?
Basically, Farah's one of my best mates, and Farah is Hannah's older sister. So yeah, me and Hannah became friends as well through Farah. And yeah, she knows I'm into this kind of stuff, so she tagged me in this, and she was like, "Oh, you'd be cool for this." So
awesome.
Yeah, here I am.
Do you listen to podcasts much then, or? I'm
not gonna lie, I'm very selective in terms of podcast listening. Whenever my friends are in podcasts, I'll listen to them. So I listen to Hannah's. You guys interviewed Noreen as well, right?
Yeah.
So I know her as well, again through Farah and Hannah. I listen to hers, and I listen to a couple others. You did Armani Sayed as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's really cool. She's a really cool journalist. I really like her work. But yeah, it's very difficult because I don't know if this is just my issue, but I find it really difficult to listen for prolonged periods of time. Like I have to see something, otherwise I zone out. Like I can't listen for that long. So a podcast, after about 10 minutes, I'm like, shit, what just happened? So I need audio, I'm like a child. Like I need visuals, I need audio, I need some sort of interaction for me to actually pay attention. So that's why podcasts are cool for me in terms of I love recording them and sitting down and talking to people. But listening back, I find very difficult.
Yeah, no, I get that because I literally, when I edit it, I can obviously, listen and edit it. But after that, I just literally can't. I have to see a video version of the podcast, which ironically we don't necessarily have, but we are on YouTube with a little sound wave.
Yeah, if you just want to see a static image of our faces. Cool. Yeah, let's get into it, I guess. So you mentioned Armani, and she's a really cool journalist. Are you a journalist?
Yes, I am. Basically, I don't even know myself what I do, to be honest. Like when people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, mate, I can't even answer that question. So I did stuff I studied law with Spanish at undergrad. Then I did my master's in law and the LPC. So obviously the goal after that was to become a solicitor and get a training contract. But I was never really that interested in that route. I was always doing journalism on the side. I just started working whilst I was studying as a journalist. There was a place that I was working for and where they were just oh, we're looking for new writers. And then I started doing things with them, and then it just kind of escalated, and I'd do different interviews and, talking to famous people. And I was always on this focus where I love talking about stuff that a lot of people didn't really like to talk about. So, whether it was to do with the LGBTQ community or basically literally anything, let's be real, with us lot, brown people, we don't talk about anything, just full stop. That's just a known thing that everything is a taboo for us for no frigging reason. So when I started doing this, I was like, oh, I want to talk about those things that everyone ignores because it's cool to make people uncomfortable. So that's what I just love doing. And yeah, most recently I made my first kind of a documentary on a gay asylum seeker that I met from Pakistan. And he was someone that I met myself. I found him through a mutual. And it was just really mind-blowing, I think, to interview someone like that, because obviously I'm open to this kind of stuff. I know there's a lot of homophobia when it comes to this kind of stuff. But for me, I'm already open. I like talking about things like this anyway. So it was very easy for me to be able to sit down and talk to him. And it was essentially just his story. This wasn't about anyone else. It was him being able to sit down and talk about who he is, and his journey and, everything he's had to go through back home and the reason he's here, which is essentially because his life was at risk in Pakistan. So yeah, that's why he found himself here. And, I think it was just when I sat down and spoke to him, it was really sad because I could just see there was so much pain in his eyes. And I know that sounds really weirdly poetic and weird, but genuinely, I understand that phrase because when I sat with him, I thought, wow, this guy has literally gone to hell and back, and he's here and he's alive to tell the tale. And I think it's really important to have some kind of platform where people share their stories, and not to have you tell somebody else's story, but to have them tell their story how they want to tell it. It's about their own narrative. It's not about somebody else who it has some kind of power being able to retell that story. Every single person has a right to tell their own story. And I like to think that I did that with justice when it came to this guy. We had to protect his identity, obviously. So blurred his face, changed his voice, all sorts. And even all of us, like, because of how much of because we were stepping on very, very controversial territory, we all, like, in terms of the crew who were a part of this, we all changed our names just for the purpose of nobody wanting to, like, find us or, like, kill us or legit. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stuff like this comes up. And yeah, I think it was just very, very eye-opening. And when I look at what I did then, when it comes to journalism, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I want to sit down. I want to talk to people that you just wouldn't expect to find any kind of connection with, because I think that's essentially what it's all about. You know, you meet new people and you realize, oh, I didn't think I had anything in common with you, when in fact I have way more in common than I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. I just like to talk about stuff that people don't really like to talk about, and just encourage people to, you know, tell their own stories, share their narratives, have them basically say what they want to say without anybody else, you know, altering that.
I was gonna say, how long was this documentary? We're not gonna say the name or anything because obviously we don't want to link back or whatever. So, how long was this documentary?
I can, if I'm honest, I can like send this out. You can, it's fine. You can promote it because I've protected his identity and that was the main thing. But it was like 35 minutes.
And you had like an entire production crew.
It was like, I won't call it a production crew, but it was just like, so I was interviewing him. So we were like, me and the guy were the stars as such. And then like we had our cameraman and then we had our editor. So it was basically, and then another editor as well who were working on this basically like start to finish. But yeah.
So is that the form of journalism that you do, like kind of video interviews, or is that kind of a one-off? Because journalism, I just think of like writing, but it is quite a lot bigger than that.
Oh yeah. So like I'm also freelancing as well. So the kind of stuff like I've written for like, for example, Metro and other publications here and there. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm doing right now. See, this documentary, we actually filmed it like a few years ago, but it was only able to come out at the end of 2020 because it took a while for us to edit, and then it got kind of pushed underneath because there were other priorities that our magazine was doing. But yeah, when it comes to the kind of stuff I want to do, this is essentially the main stuff. When I think of journalism, yeah, I like writing and I really enjoy that side of things. But then I also think that when I think of journalism and being a journalist, it is video stuff, it is interviewing and documentaries and that kind of stuff that I want to do.
Okay, that's cool. When you do these interviews, are you like on the camera at all? Or is it like always the subject?
I'm on the camera as well. Like sometimes, because again, it's just the guy I work with who films. He'll occasionally film me. He'll film the subject. He'll film me. And especially, I think with that one, because we couldn't film him as much, we cut him out a lot because obviously we were blurring his face out and stuff. So they'd occasionally film me. But then again, because of the protection issue in terms of like not wanting them to trace it back, they were still limiting my face kind of as well. But yeah, like I've done other interviews as well in terms of like interviewing, like say celebrities, whether it's like Indian actors or whatever, if they've got like a new movie coming out. And I do stuff like that on camera too, but obviously that's like a different style. You know, that's more just interviews, sit down, chat with someone. That's like a very relaxed kind of thing. Whereas obviously this was a very different kind of.
Oh, is that like the time I see them on YouTube? Like when you've got, it's kind of like a jokey kind of interview.
Yeah, kind of, but not even jokey. Because again, like when I'll be the interviewer, but then we all film the person. So when it comes to, how familiar are you with Bollywood? Do you know Bollywood actors?
Aaron started to recently watch a lot of movies.
That's good.
All for a girl.
No. Let's cut that out. I watched my first one in like November.
Right. Which one?
My first ever Bollywood film, which was Dangal.
I don't even know. Oh, Dangal.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Please leave that. Don't edit that out. Don't edit that out. I'm going to leave that in.
Oh, mate, I've been practicing
He's already been roasted
pronunciation on this. No, but that was better than what I said the first time. And I've seen like 6 in total since. So that's quite good.
Which ones have you seen?
Look, I'm not going to be able to pronounce them. But let me...
No, say it. Come on, Aaron.
Kabhi Kush Kabhi Kum. Watch that.
Yeah.
YJHD.
What?
Ye Javani Hai Diwani.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I've seen MS Donny, The Truth Untold.
That's so random. You got a really random selection.
Azur, it's another cricket one.
AZHAR.
Yeah, that one. And Three Idiots.
Oh, of course. Everyone's seen 3 Idiots. Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty decent, seeing I started November 2020, you know.
And it's like a nice variety. I haven't seen a lot of those. I haven't seen MS Dhoni or Azhar. I'd never... Don't even think I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's only because I started watching cricket like last week. So
Right.
I thought I'd watch it. I've got more on my watch list. Yeah, I don't know. The only actors I know are the big ones from those like films like Amir Khan or Shah Rukh Khan and people like that.
Obviously, yeah.
You have recommendations for Aaron here?
Yeah.
Bollywood knowledge up.
You need to watch Kal Ho Na Ho.
Wait, so Hamish, have you seen this?
When I was young, I would have seen it on VCR.
Mm-hmm. Back in the... VCR. It's a blast from the past.
And that's because I also had nothing else to watch because it would just be on the same Bollywood stuff on VCRs on repeat.
Very true. Yep, I feel that. It's my boy Shah Rukh Khan, so you should watch it.
Okay, I've
There's
added
one
it to the
with
watch list.
Hrithik Roshan at the end. I remember one of the last dancing stuff was in the rain or something on the stage. I don't remember what movie that was called, but I remember that was one of my favorite ones.
That's the Notebook
No,
with Ryan Gosling.
I don't know what it's called. One day I'll eventually remember, maybe.
Hrithik Roshan is dancing in the rain.
It's like at the very end. It's like one of the last few things.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh, I don't want to butcher. I don't want to say it out loud because my parents can hear me right now. One second, I'm gonna write it down. I'm not going through this explanation at all. I think it's this one.
Oh, Kahona Pyar Hai. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That was one of the shit.
Aaron, you'd like that one.
I think that film's on YouTube, you know.
I found quite a lot of the Bollywood films are like on YouTube, as in just like somebody uploaded them. But that's cool. What's been your favourite interview? Can you say that or no?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think because I've interviewed like...
Or was there an interview you've done where you've been like, you're like, oh shit, I can't, like you were a fan of this person?
Oh yeah, probably. Again, I don't know if you know this actor. There's an actor called Ranbir Kapoor. He was in YJHD.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's the main one. He's the main one in it.
Yeah, the main dude. So basically, it was only a telephone interview because obviously man's in India, right? And I'm here. So I had to give him a call. It was really weird because they were like, oh, like, we're just going to call you and Ranbir will be ready. And I was like, oh my, this is exciting. And then they just called me and then it was his PR lady. And she was like, oh, hi, is this Arub? And I was like, yeah, it's Arub. And she's like, Ranbir's ready for you now. And I'm like, oh my, is he? Yeah, so like, I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll talk to him. And then he was like, oh, he was really polite. Oh my God. He was like, hello, sorry, what's your name? And I was like, Arub. And he goes, nice to meet you, Arub. It's a pleasure talking to you. And I was like, oh. So yeah, I was very starstruck in that moment because I was like, bruh, like this is the actual Ranbir Kapoor I'm talking to on the phone.
Was it just like audio? Was it like a video call?
No, it was audio, and even audio, I was shitting it. So I don't even know how many bricks I would be shitting if it was like face to face. Like, good God, that would have been something else. But like, imagine it was just really weird because I think one thing I was quite surprised by was like his humility. Like he was so humble, and like I don't know if because I've been following Bollywood since I was a kid, so it's a very Bollywood stars are like placed on a pedestal, especially in India. They're like, oh my God. It's like people treat them like God almost. They have this kind of approach when it comes to Bollywood stars. So that's why a lot of the Bollywood stars can come across as not very humble because they know that everyone's kind of dying over them. But Ranbir was amazing. Like he was so sweet. I mean, the dream is to interview Shah Rukh Khan, obviously, the one, the king. He's the dream, but we haven't been able to get him as of yet. But I've interviewed other people, like even, I don't know if you... Wait, how old are you guys? Are you older or younger than me? How old are you?
We're 24.
Shit, you're younger than me. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm 26. So, do you know the YouTuber called Diary of a Bad Man? He was...
Yeah, Hamza.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, him. So I interviewed him. He was amazing. I interviewed him in person. Really, really nice. My little brother's a huge fan of his as well. So my little brother came to the interview too. And he was so sweet to my brother as well. Like he gave him like he was just really nice. Like he just sat and talked to him and just, he made a lot of effort. But yeah, like I think I tend to get quite starstruck easily anyway, like because I've grown up watching so many movies, so I kind of look up to a lot of people on TV. Like you just saw Selena Gomez is like my wallpaper. Like she's like my she is my number. I have her on my walls as well. I don't know if you can see her there as well. Yeah, next
Yeah.
BTS and Eminem. But yeah, like I get starstruck super easily. So I'm not sure if interviewing celebrities is the best thing for me, but it's still fun. It's still fun to do.
No, that's jokes. Well, how do you find that dynamic? You said the interview with Ranbir Kapoor, that was just over telephone, so it wasn't any visuals. So we've actually, when we started a podcast, we was doing a podcast in person. Then when we've moved to doing it online, I believe we've always just done it over Zoom, like with video. There's never been a case where someone's had their video off. How do you find that dynamic? Like if you're just speaking to someone over the phone compared to speaking to someone like in person or face to face, is it easier in any way or is it actually harder or no difference?
I'd probably say it's a bit easier just because it's less like you're less worrying. Like I don't worry as much about how I look and I'm like, oh, okay, I just have to focus on what I'm saying. So like I can be in my pajamas and look like dog shit and it's all right because they can't see me. So it's nice in that sense. But I do like everything. Like just like I said, I find it very difficult to pay attention for prolonged periods of time. So I'd prefer to see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say video and audio, like they're very complementary to each other. But I'm all right with just audio.
Podcast, like interview type environment, if you don't see the other person, it starts becoming very tough because, yeah, it's just like the attention thing as well. Like I feel like it's way tougher. It's not like a work call. It's like you're trying to do something, but it's sometimes hard to pick up the correct tone of everything.
It's hard to like read the room, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you say something and then you can't tell if people are smiling or like angry or crying or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously no one's crying on your podcast, I hope, but still it's like you can't really tell what people are feeling. And obviously facial expressions give a lot of that away. So it's helpful to have it, I think, when it comes to like, you know, social interactions in general. But yeah, I'd imagine that would be difficult with podcasting.
Yeah. And these interviews you're doing, are they with, I don't even know if you can like even say this, but are they with like a company?
Basically, when I first started journalism and the documentary that I made, that's on this online South Asian platform and it's called Desi Blitz. And that's basically like, obviously, as the name suggests, it's everything Desi, all brown people. So that's why I've been interviewing celebrities and that's why a lot of the issues I write about. So obviously I've done the lighthearted stuff like, oh, I interviewed Hamza Productions or I interviewed Ranbir Kapoor or I could have interviewed Saif Ali Khan, but my friend forgot to tell me that they were doing an interview with him. So I was like, bruh, really? Like, you know, what is wrong with you? Like, you've got #1 Bollywood fan in your office and you forget to tell me. But anyways, I'll let that one slide. So anyway, yeah, I do stuff like that where it's like chill and I like to just sit and chat with people. But then obviously there's the heavier stuff and that's what I started doing. So like I've written about like child abuse in like Pakistan, in India and, you know, like all sorts of heavy ass shit that people aren't really talking about, but it's clearly an issue. But yeah, it's online platform. It's basically everything Desi, everything South Asian related. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing with them.
One more question on the like, yeah, interviewing like the famous like celebrities and all. Do you come up with the questions yourself?
Yeah, I come up with the questions myself. Sometimes the other journalist who I work with, sometimes he helps along as well. And he tends to like oversee everything. So I'll come up with questions. He might tweak a bit here and there. But sometimes he'll come up with questions if I don't know the celebrity that well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of like a team effort, I'd say.
No, that's cool. And then there as well, you said like you also do like heavy stuff. Do you prefer one to the other, kind of the heavy stuff or the lighthearted stuff with like interviewing celebrities and like video? It's like I see like one side you've got, maybe it makes a bit like, it makes more of an impact, like what you're writing about, like it's more, but the other one's just, I know there's not a lot of pressure and you don't have to kind of, well, it's still pressure, but it's not like, it isn't heavy. Like you can like, yeah.
Yeah. I think I prefer them, as in I like them both in their own unique ways. But I think when it comes to essentially the type of work I do, like obviously I think generally like we're all multifaceted beings, right? Like you might want to sit and laugh and joke and take the piss one day, and another day you might be like, actually, I want to talk about this hard hitting shit that's really affecting my world.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like I know a lot of people might think, oh, this person's more, she does more this kind of stuff where it's just interviewing celebrities and lighthearted stuff, whereas somebody else does like only heavy stuff and purely heavy stuff. And I don't know, I find that really quite limiting, because I think like you can talk about anything you want. Like even with you guys in your podcast, like obviously heavy stuff can come up, but then you can sit and laugh and take the piss out of each other as well. And I think that's what life's all about, it's a healthy medium. But I think essentially when it comes to journalism itself, it's about making an impact for me, I think, which is why I want to talk about heavy shit, which is why I want to, challenge the status quo, basically make people question everything they've ever believed, because until you do that, you don't truly know what it is you believe, if that makes sense. If you've been fed something your entire life and you never question it, you don't really believe it. It's just been indoctrinated, And I think it's really important to challenge some of those beliefs. And because again, I think in so many, not just in South Asian culture, but in culture in general, in the mainstream, there's so much internalized misogyny and there's just so much stuff that is swept under the rug, but we just accept it because it's like, well, that's how it is and that's how it's always been. And, there's those people who think that, yeah, that's it. That's how it is. We're not going to change it. And there's other people who are like, well, actually, this is kind of stupid. Like, why are we dealing with this shit in the 21st century? So, I think a lot of the stuff I do, it's about wanting to, I guess, evoke some kind of emotion, not to make people necessarily like completely transform their mindset and become a whole new person, because I don't think that's possible anyway from something like that. But I think, one piece of journalism, whether it's a video or whether it's an insightful article, that is enough to trigger a kind of thought in someone. And then that thought can essentially change somebody and change somebody's opinion on something. And when I've been freelancing, so I had some pieces out in the Metro, I spoke about experiences with, the whole Rishta process. Another thing I spoke about was hijab. Another thing I spoke about was Islamophobia and my experience with it. And I think in that article in particular, the Islamophobia one thing I realized, I basically wrote about an incident that had happened myself to me. It was like years ago back in uni. I was in like second year or something. And we have like Islamic, how they have like different societies in like unis and stuff. So they had Islamic society, right? And I was just on the stall helping out, whatever. And this random guy comes over, really old, not old, but as in, I didn't know why he was at our uni, right? So he was like some old dude. And I was like, that's weird. What's he doing? Anyways, he comes over and he goes, first thing he says, so what do you think of Osama bin Laden? I was like, bruh, what? And then I was so confused. I was like, you what, mate? And I was laughing, because the thing is, I laughed and I was like, I mean, he was a bad man. Like, I was almost seeking his approval. Like, that's the right answer, right? And it was really funny because that started off as, it could have been a really hostile conversation. We talked for a good half an hour, even longer than that, possibly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was me and it was the other people on the stall. And he just asked us loads of questions. He was like, oh, I think Islam is XYZ. This is my reason. And he was basically saying what he disliked massively. And, oh, I believe this. I believe this is unfair. I believe this is unfair. And we just kind of said, oh, well, actually. And then there were so many misconceptions he had, obviously, as there are. We explained them to him and he was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And it was super chill. Like we just sat there and talked for ages. No one was shouting. There wasn't any, no one got defensive. Like imagine in situations like that, it's really easy for people to get on the defense and be like, oh,
Yeah.
what'd you just say about me? But we were all like, okay, cool. That's cool. You have a question, we'll answer it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. That's quite nice, isn't it?
It's very nice. Yeah.
When you first said like he just came over and asked like, what do you think of Osama bin Laden? I thought it was like some guy trying to like take the piss and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what...
Or is that what it started off as in any kind of...
As in, yeah, I wasn't sure because he said that and I was like, huh? And then, because again, it just took me off guard completely because I didn't expect that at all. And then he's like, oh, well, actually, the reason I'm asking this is because, and I think he mentioned somebody else said something and he was confused. And then it turned into a conversation where he started asking more questions. And, it wasn't Like it was so easy to be hostile in that in that kind of conversation. But we chose love. We chose kindness, as frigging cheesy as that sounds. That's what we did. Because it was like, well, what's it going to do? Like, there's two ways you can respond to hate. You can either fuel that hatred further by carrying on being a dickhead, or you can think, actually, I'm going to break that cycle here. And that's what we did. And at the end of that conversation, I remember he shook my hand and he goes, honestly, if there were more Muslims like you in the world, I think the world would be a better place. And I'm not saying that to gas myself up, because when he said it, I was like, oh, that's sweet. I don't think I'm that great, but clearly he did. So he must be right. But anyways, yeah. So I remember when he said that, I was like, imagine, like, it took that, just a conversation, to change his mindset from y'all are all frigging psychopaths who love Osama bin Laden to actually you guys are all right. It's just, I don't know, I think it's just really important because we kind of underestimate those conversations. It's so easy to just sit down and talk to someone and understand someone, but people don't want to understand people. I think there's this fear that comes with understanding people, unfortunately. But clearly it wasn't that easy. I mean, it wasn't that hard for us to just have that kind of bond, you know? So I think that says a lot about humans. Like, we can be dickheads, but it's quite easy to sit down and talk to people and try and understand them, you know?
How did like journalism start off? Like, when did you think like, okay, I want to challenge like the status quo and write about stuff that will make people uncomfortable? Because that isn't something I imagine like a 15-year-old me really even like
understood the
yeah, or, like,
I get what you're
about.
saying. You know what it is? Like, I think growing up, I questioned a lot of things around me just generally, right? And I just asked, like, I think like all people, like, I was a very inquisitive child. I just used to ask questions and I wondered a lot about different people and about different things and about the world. And I think all kids are like that, but not everyone follows that through. Like, some people think, yeah, okay, I'm going to stop asking questions now. I don't really give a shit. Other people are like, oh, this is kind of cool. I wonder why this is. I wonder why that is. So it started with that, with being just an inquisitive child. And then as I grew older, and I think, because in my primary school, it was an amazing primary school, but I was the only brown kid in my class pretty much. And so I pretty much stuck out like a sore thumb. So, you know, I had that feeling of feeling a bit like an outsider and not really fitting in. And that was like a very familiar feeling for me. And I think seeing how I felt and realizing how shit I felt being ostracized for being brown, for being the only Muslim kid, it made me think like, oh, I really don't want people to feel that way, whatever their story is. So, you know, like, if somebody is being ostracized because they're of a different religion, I wouldn't want that. If someone's being ostracized because of their sexual orientation, again, I wouldn't want that, because I've seen one side of that and it's just a horrible thing to go through. And I think that's why I find, especially when it comes to homophobia within a lot of not just South Asian communities, but Muslim communities, it's so ironic, because when you see a minority persecuting another minority, it's like, have we learned nothing? Like, all the crap that you've gone through, only for you to then do that to someone else. I don't understand that. And I think that's where this whole principle of, you know, let's all love and understand, like this very hippie principle that I have, it came from that. It just came from being the only, you know, to put it bluntly, the only Paki that there was, and ending up, you know, having people say shit to me, which sometimes wasn't great. And I didn't have it awful. Like, it's not like, oh my God, like I had the worst every single day. I didn't, but I still had some negative experiences. And then I thought, oh, I would hate for somebody else to feel this way. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, me being picked on or being shat on for being a Muslim, why would you shit on somebody else because they're gay? Essentially, they're both identities. They're both who you are. And I just don't think it's fair to you know, argue about whether somebody's existence is worth having, like, if that makes sense. Because, you know, so many people are like, well, no, people shouldn't be gay because this, that, and the other. But someone's existence isn't up for debate. Somebody's right to live freely and to live in a dignified way, that's not up for debate. What I believe anyway is, if God puts every single person on this planet, they are worthy of having a good life. Mm-hmm. And you can't play God by saying, actually, no, you're forbidden, you're haram, you're this. I don't agree with that at all, and I never can. So that's where my whole hippie idea came from. And I think the reason I got so riled up about this entire thing was because I was hearing so much ignorance. Like, I remember when I was maybe in year 12 or year 13, there were like a group of girls in the common room. I don't know why I was listening to their conversation, but I was, right? And I heard them talking, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, a lot of people, what they said something really weird. They basically, they said something along the lines of, oh, you see, with Muslims, we don't teach our children to be gay, right? Teach our children to be gay. Think about that statement right now. I was so confused. She was like, see, look, we don't teach them this. That's why we don't have stuff like this in our culture. And I wasn't even part of the conversation. I don't know why I got involved. I turned around and I was like, or maybe it's just because they're all in the fucking closet still. Like, who are you to sit down and say, like, we don't teach someone this? You can't teach someone anything. You don't teach someone to be a sexuality, you know? And I was just so mind boggled by this statement. And I literally sat there and I thought, are these actual words coming out of your mouth? Like, I was so confused because I didn't think someone could be that ignorant, but apparently people were. And, you know, it's not even just stuff like that. It's like with anything when it came to race, you know, like casual slurs that hear people saying about different races, or when it came to gender as well, like, oh, but it's okay because he's a man. And the amount of times I've heard that shit, I'm like, how are you guys sitting here and just dealing with this crap and not being able to be intelligent enough to draw the parallels with your own life? Like, if you're someone who has gone through shit as a brown person, as, you know, as a minority, then you should be intelligent enough to draw those parallels and realize that, you know, this shouldn't have to be an issue for anybody, you know, regardless of their orientation, their religion, anything. And I think that's why I became a big advocate for, you know, let's talk about the shit no one wants to talk about, because clearly nobody else is doing it. So yeah, I guess that's how it all started for me.
So did it start off with you kind of writing these articles like in a blog or like just freelancing on the side kind of thing, and then developed into more than just kind of a hobby?
So yeah, so basically it was I started in a really weird way. So basically what it was, I remember years ago, I was like, I just turned 19, and we were doing this charity fashion show, and I was meeting a lot of different girls there. They were all really sweet. And this girl was saying to me, oh, look, I wrote this article on this website. And she showed me her article, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And she goes, oh, you know, they're always looking for new writers. So if you're interested, why not? And I was like, oh, that's cool. So that's how I started on Desi Blitz, which was, obviously, this was back in end of 2013 now.
So did you not think about it before that?
I thought about having a platform of some sort, but I didn't think it would be, like, I knew that the stuff I talk about is so niche. I didn't see it as a possibility, if that makes sense. I didn't think I'd be able to sit down and be like, okay, let's just create this. I didn't know what creating a website would even entail. Like, I never knew that. So like, I did that. I started on that website. And then obviously I've carried on through the years as I was studying on the side here and there. And recently I started freelancing as well. But yeah, that's basically how it started. So it was very much just by chance. Like, as in, I knew what I wanted for a long time. I just didn't know how I was going to present that, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. Where can people find like your work and stuff like that?
So basically the primary place, because, you know, in terms of the documentary and other stuff, it's like desiblitz.com. So my articles would be there, and then on YouTube as well. That's where my documentary is. But then in terms of like freelance, that's a few things on Metro. Another website as well called Girl Dreamer. They're like a really amazing organization. They basically work to give opportunities to many young women of color. So, you know, I wrote for them. I interviewed Pakistan's first ever all-girl band. So it was literally just an all-female ensemble in Pakistan. And as in, obviously, I wouldn't say first ever. There's obviously been loads, like there probably have been some before, but this is gaining a lot of recognition. So I saw them on Instagram. I thought they were amazing. And again, it's just not encouraged, is it, in our culture, you know, to do stuff like that, to pursue music, especially as a female in Pakistan. So I interviewed them. They were really nice. And yeah, I interviewed them, and then, you know, I got that interview up with Girl Dreamer. And yeah, they were really cool. They were really chill. But yeah, that's basically the kind of stuff that I do. It's like I'm just trying to vary the stuff I do and, you know, expand my horizons more and write for many different places.
How does the freelance stuff actually work? Do you have to like approach them to be like, hey, can I write this piece for you? Or do you write a piece and then be like, hey, I've got this piece, do you want to use it, or another way completely?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tiresome process because it's like you will pitch a publication. So say if I want to write for, I don't know, like Metro, for example, I would send them a pitch, tell them what I want to write, and then they would say yes or no. And then after that, they would talk about the points that they want you to address in that. And obviously every publication is different, so I can't speak for every single one, but that's how they did it. Yeah, so it's very much the thing about freelancing. It is chance more than anything. It's always about chance. It's like someone might see your pitch and think, oh, this is amazing, let's do it. Somebody else might be like, nah, it's not really our thing. And you've just got to keep pitching. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of freelance journalists. Like, it's just very difficult because unless you have someone that you're fixed and writing for, you're not really guaranteed that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So was there like any other specific bits on religion that you didn't like as well? Because you said in the common room, obviously, whether they believed it to be X, Y, Z, and it being completely different, I don't know. 'Cause I feel like that's where a lot of in school is at least where a lot of the differences start to occur because people are just narrowly educated through their parents. And the school doesn't obviously educate us widely enough.
I'm not gonna lie, there's probably been way more experiences that I'm repressing just for obvious reasons. But like the most vivid thing was that common room incident because I was like, you know, when it comes to a point where it's so ridiculous, you can't tell if you're hearing this or not. Like I genuinely was questioning my reality in that moment because I thought there is no way an actual human being is saying these words. But it turned out they were. So, I mean, that was something that was like a huge shock to me because I thought this can't be frigging real. I think as well in uni, so like in Sheffield, University of Sheffield, when I went there, it was diverse, but there was a lot of, it wasn't Birmingham diverse, right? Let's put it that way. Okay. So it was very nice. I really liked it because I think one thing, and it's a shame that I felt this way, but I was excited to move out for uni because I was really excited to get away from everyone's judgments because I associated Birmingham with my school. Like, so the secondary school I went to was very diverse. And unfortunately, a lot of other South Asians that I knew of, you know, some of them I was great friends with and it was fine. And then some of them, I just felt a lot of judgment and narrow-mindedness. And I don't even think they might have been trying to be judgmental or trying to be narrow-minded. It's just that it was just tunnel vision for them. You know, they had a very restricted view of their lives. So anybody else who was outside of that was just insane for them. And when I went to Sheffield, I didn't have that problem at all. I didn't feel judgment from anyone. Like I felt like I was really in a place where I felt I could grow and I could thrive without fear of anybody's judgments, without fear of anybody saying anything. And it's really amazing to think that for so many years, I was in a place where I just didn't feel comfortable enough to fully, as in I wanted to speak openly and obviously I tried, but I knew that there would be backlash because people could be a certain way, people could be judgmental. In Sheffield, I didn't feel that. But I think again, like, so I did my master's and my LPC here in Birmingham. And
sorry, what's the LPC? I was going to ask earlier, but
legal practice course. So it's like the training to do, like, to become a solicitor, basically. So obviously you'd think again that people on this course would be fairly open-minded or intelligent to some extent because, you know, they've made it this far. But it was just really weird, like, because being back in Birmingham was just odd. That's the first thing. I was like, this is really weird. I forgot what this felt like. And I felt like I was in school all over again. I can't lie. Like, I was like, this is really weird. And, you know, there are a few people I got along with and a few people who I found really cool and easy to speak to. But for the most part, there was a lot of, yeah, it was just a very, again, it was that tunnel vision. Like, I felt like I'd regressed. I was like, I went to Sheffield for this many years. I went to Spain for a year and I've come back and I'm back in the, like, my stupid little hometown where everyone thinks the same. And it felt really weird. And I felt kind of sad. I was like, am I really back in this shithole? Like, I love Birmingham, but it's shit. Let's be real. Like,
I get that completely, because when I was at uni, I was like, there's literally no boundaries and nothing being put on you or restrictions in terms of due to lack of education or, lack of awareness. It's just pure freedom. And then when you go back, it's just like, it's back to the same old silly shit. So you start to phase it out, and then you just try to carry on with what you can.
Yeah, exactly. It really is that thing. And I don't know if that's just the general feeling everyone gets when they move out from their hometown to a different city and then come back to their hometown, because they're like, oh shit, I'm back in this little place. Because obviously, like, when you're at uni, there's a lot of growth that happens there, I think. And so when you go back to your hometown, you kind of remember, I think subconsciously, I remembered how I was before I moved out. So I'm like, oh, I'm back in that mentality again. But yeah, like, people came up with some weird shit, man. Like, even in my masters, like, again, like, there was a lot of homophobic shit, which I just thought, wow, like, you guys are going to be solicitors, like, you have these opinions, you're this homophobic, and you're meant to be this like example for justice, and you believe shit like this. It boggles my mind, genuinely. It really does. And like, I remember, because I was talking to one guy in my masters. So I did law with Spanish at uni at Sheffield, right? So I studied in Spain for 1 year as well. I did Spanish law. And I was telling him, he was also Pakistani. I was like, oh, I did law with Spanish at uni at Sheffield. And he goes, you did what? And I was like, I did law with Spanish. And he goes, oh, well, you're a Paki, stay in your lane. And I was like, really? Like, you really going to tell me this shit? And I was like, it's that kind of self-limiting and self-restricting attitude that is the reason that so many brown people, like, are still in their little brown bubbles and they have no idea what's happening in the real world. And it's just really sad, because you're limiting yourself. Like, there's a whole world out there, and you're actually sitting here and telling yourself, nah, like, I shouldn't be doing this because I'm I shouldn't learn another language because I'm a Paki. Okay. Like, how does that make any sense? So yeah, it's just really sad, because like, you just don't expect it. And especially because that goes into the fact that like obviously, if we look in like the mainstream media, there are hardly any brown people, right? And the very few that there are, we kind of cling on to with both our hands, because that's all we've got. But then even so, like, it's so difficult for people to actually get there in the first place because of how discouraged it is. Because again, it goes back to this self-limiting attitude. Yeah, but we're brown. We don't do that shit. We do not have these jobs. We do not go in the media. We don't become actors or journalists or singers. We're going to sit here and we're either going to, have some professional job or a random whatever job. That's what we do. We don't do this other shit that white people do. So it's, we say, you get, on the one hand, you get brown people sitting here complaining, oh, there's not enough representation in the media. And rightfully so, because there isn't. And then when there is, they're like, yeah, but that's not even, like, that's not our thing. We shouldn't really be doing that. And again, like, they'll be quick to shit all over their achievements. Like, oh, this person, this amazing singer or actor, they're brown, they're Pakistani, or they're Indian. And that's an amazing thing. That's a step in the right direction. But they're like, yeah, but they don't represent all of us. Of course they don't. Not one person can't represent everyone. That's just not how it works. Like, we're multifaceted beings. Like, there's so many different aspects and so many different sides to us. You need more than just one human being of color in the media to represent you. When there's like dozens and dozens out, that's when you can think, oh, okay, I relate more to this one. I relate more to this one. But it's really unfair. And I think it's a very unnecessary and unfair amount of pressure to place on one brown famous person. Like, all of our like community's self-respect and honor lies in this person. And that's how a lot of them feel, which is why so many of them are either massive supporters of them or they're like staunchly against them. Like, no, they do not represent me. I do not like this person.
And then to add on, like, the hearsay and gossip seems to affect everyone else's opinion of it for some reason. But then they're not willing to either do it themselves or, like, be a different person. They want the change, but then they don't want the change necessarily.
I think that's one of us as brown people, one of our biggest flaws is that we love to sit and bitch about people, just generally, like, genuinely, like, that's not even, like, they love to sit and bitch about people, as in they will complain a lot, but then they won't actually do anything about that. Like, oh, this is really shit. Okay, what are you going to do about it? No, nothing. I just wanted to say it's shit. And it's just such a common theme. I've seen so many brown people do that. The same, just like you were saying, like in the media, you know, we accept that this is wrong or whatever, but then we don't care enough to actually make a change. So it's like very half-assed. It's like, we'll bitch about it, but then that's it. We're not actually going to do anything because that's not our thing. We're not meant to be doing that anyways.
Yeah. I think you might need your own like podcast. Yeah.
We'll add another one to the third wheel umbrella.
Yeah. I was just like listening. I was like, you say it very well.
Basically saying you
makes
just
sense.
talk a lot. That's what I was saying, in a gossipy way.
Thank you.
He's an agent.
No, it's like, but then you were able to talk a lot and you didn't like stumble, if that makes sense. Like I'd be saying like a lot or like or like stuff like that.
She's a journalist, Aaron. This is what they meant.
No, thank you. That means a lot to me, Aaron. Thank you, genuinely.
That's good.
Because you guys have your own podcast, so that's something I've always aspired to do.
So you did law, like in the middle of that, you were saying how you did law at Sheffield and all. Is that something you're currently pursuing?
I am a confused individual. I don't really know what I want. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I want to do journalism, but then I also want to do law because I'm like, well, I did the LPC. I've kind of come this far. But then in order to become a solicitor, you kind of need a training contract. And I do want a training contract because I do want to be a solicitor because I want that to go somewhere. I want all of that energy that I put in to go to somewhere positive. But essentially, when I first studied law, when I first started it, I was like, again, this hippie mentality. I want to make the world a better place. Oh, I want everyone to love each other. Like it was all that, right? And that was why I did law. I was like, yeah, man, like justice. People need to love each other. People like, this is why I did it. And I was like, and my parents were like, oh, you know, you're going to be a lawyer. And I was like, no, mother, no father. I shall not become a lawyer. I'm going to save the world. And my dad was like, yeah, okay. Like, obviously he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to let you talk because you're just chatting shit right now. But I was like, I'm going to save the world and justice and human rights. And that was why I did law, essentially. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to find out about the laws. I'm going to look at the inconsistencies. I'm going to look at all these human rights infringements that are happening across the globe. That clearly never happened. But that was why I did it. Those were my intentions. And then as I did it afterwards, I was contemplating to do a master's and I had two options. I was like, I can either do my master's in journalism or I can do it in law. Sat and like, I really contemplated. I spoke to so many friends. I was sitting there for ages trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I spoke to the big G about it as well. I was like, mate, like help me out because I really don't know what I want to do. And yeah, in the end, I think my parents were like, just do law. So I was like, okay. And then in that moment, I thought, okay, fine. Like, let me just do it. Like, if I was meant to do journalism, it would happen. Or, you know, I was thinking logically that to break into journalism, qualifications aren't 100% unless you're in certain roles. Whereas to break into law, you need the degree. Otherwise, you're going nowhere. So I thought, oh, it probably makes sense to do a master's in law because then that way I'm qualified. And also the skills are transferable to journalism too. So I kind of saw the best of both worlds in that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And yeah, as your Instagram bio says, a jack of all and master of none is better than a master of one.
Very true though. It is very true.
So alongside your articles and your other journalism work, you also had a piece on hijabs? Like people are usually...
I was going to ask that, like how's that actually...
You can basically, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's the same. Hijab, I guess, is the standard of what people say. But me and my friends used to, because there was this TV show, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. Sorry, massive tangent, but it's quite funny. It was called Make Bradford British, and it was on years ago, like 2011, 2012, something like that.
Oh,
do you remember it?
It rings a bell, but there might be another show about Bradford.
Yeah, there's loads of shows about Bradford.
Is Bradford the one with incest, or is that a type of place?
Oh
no, that's Norwich.
No, it's one of the ones starting with B.
I thought that was a joke about Norwich.
It was either Bradford or it's one of the ones starting with B. I don't know which one it is.
Isn't Zayn Malik from Bradford?
Yes, he is. Do you know what they call Bradford? They call it Bradistan because it's literally like the Paki capital of Britain. As in, there's some parts that are divided, very white and very Pakistani, but generally no. It's a very Pakistani area. So that's why they were saying make Bradford British, because it was like very separate. So there was one community where it was all Pakistanis and there was another community where it was all white people. And there was this one white dude. It was so funny. He ended up making he had a nice conversation with this Muslim guy and he goes, oh, you guys aren't that bad. And they became friends at the end. So again, this is like the power of conversation. But anyways, I remember at the start he was like, yeah, I don't like these Muslims and they do this and blah blah blah, and he was like, oh, and they just walk around with their hijabs or whatever they're called. And after that, I couldn't stop calling it a hijab because I couldn't stop laughing. But yeah, side note, yeah, you can call it whatever, hijab, whatever. It doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, because you were going to say something.
No, honestly, I just wanted to know about the piece and the article on it because I don't know how many of our previous guests actually wear one, if any.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh my.
Unless I missed something. Unless I missed one let me just verify before.
It's a pretty big thing to miss, though, Hamish. I think you would have noticed if someone was wearing it.
No, but some people could opt out at like 18 or something. Like it depends. Like I've seen like various different versions. Some people start wearing it at 18.
Is it something you have to wear all the time?
So basically, it's like, I think the first thing to establish, so hijab, which is like the standard generalized term that's used to describe a headscarf. Hijab doesn't actually mean headscarf. It literally means barrier in Arabic, right? But it's used in colloquial terms as a headscarf, right? So it's basically worn by women and they wear it in front of all men who are not their direct relative. Or, so for example, I wouldn't wear it in front of my dad, my brother, my son, if I had one, my uncle, my husband, that kind of stuff, right? But otherwise it's just a covering for that, basically for everyone else. But it's for men. So when I'm with my girlfriends, they can see me without it. So yeah, that's basically what it is. And it's like a very personal choice, which a lot of people seem to forget, because I know unfortunately there's a lot of girls, young girls, who from a young age, they're like either forced or very heavily influenced by their parents. Like, you need to wear it now. You need to wear it now. And obviously that's just not what it should be. That's not what it's about. How I feel anyway about religion. And there's like verses in the Quran that literally say there is no compulsion in religion. So it's just really sad for me to see that kind of stuff is being forced. And obviously when something's forced on you, you don't want to do it. You start resenting it. And that tends to be the case for a lot of girls. But basically what it was with me, so no one in my family wears it. Just a heads up. No one wears it. I started wearing it when I was like 14. And the reason I started wearing it, it was like a really weird, I don't know what happened. It was also in my hippie days, right? So it was like, I don't remember what, I was reading something about some girl who wore a hijab or a headscarf, and she was talking about her experiences, and she was sharing her befores and afters, like before she started and after and stuff like that. And it was just, there was a lot of like, I felt like it was a lot deeper than people like to make out. Because, you know, when people think of headscarf and hijab, they're like, okay, modesty, that's it. Like, that's like the general overarching term when they think about it. They're like, oh, so it's modesty. But then it's not just modesty. There's so much to it. Like, essentially when you wear a headscarf, it's like, it's a reminder for yourself that, okay, this is my faith. So it's something important to you. And on top of that, I think, and the reason I started wearing it was because I thought, okay, you know what? When everything, especially in this day and age where women are very much pressured to dress a certain way, to look a certain way, it's kind of like a statement that says, well, you know what? I'm a lot more than who I look like. You know, I'm much more than such superficial aspects. You know, I'm more than my beauty. I'm more than my hair. I'm more than my body. Like, when someone wears a headscarf, and how I always felt, I was like, this person, you can only see what I choose to let you see. And for me and for a lot of other women, that's a very liberating move. I understand for some people, they commonly associate it with oppression. And for some people, it is oppression because they're being forced, right? Obviously, that's oppression. But I see it as, well, you know what? You're only going to see what I let you see. And everything else, I'm going to be respected for who I am as a person, for, you know, the content of my character, for my heart. That's how I always saw it. And that's why I started wearing it. And that was a very common theme, I think, for a lot of women. I can't speak for all hijabis, but I know a lot of other women who feel the same way, that, you know, it's about a reminder of what actually matters. And that's you. That's who you are as a person. That's your intellect. That's your heart. And it's your faith. And yeah, nobody else has, you know, unprecedented access to that. So that's why I started wearing it. Sorry, you were saying something.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask. So you obviously also made the choice. So, because you don't have to wear it fully, or like you don't have to cover your neck or anything. So in your case, you made the choice to just cover most of your hair. Am I right? Or
so basically, and this is what my hijab article touched on. So obviously you can see I don't wear it in the traditional sense. Obviously, like you can see how, you know, normally it's like fully this here, covering the neck, every strand of hair, right? That's how I used to wear it for years as well. And I think as I grew older, I started to just feel a bit more comfortable with, and I don't know what triggered it or what piqued it, but I just somehow started to feel like, oh, actually, I kind of like having this on show. And I went through like a really weird phase because when I started showing a bit of my hair, so many people would say to me, like, you know, there's no point of wearing it because you're just, you know, you're not doing it properly. Just take it off. Just take it off. So many people told me that, from family members to random people, like literally random people that I didn't even know would say crap like this to me. And I see that they may have been very well intentioned and they may have just been trying to say to me, you know what, it's okay. You don't have to wear it if you don't want to. Just take it off if you're going to wear it wrong, as such. Yeah. And I thought, I get what you're saying, but you know, this is what allows me to feel comfortable. And I'm not going to say that, oh, this is correct hijab, because I know that technically it's not. And I'm not going to sit and pretend it is. I could, you know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out it isn't the correct form, but I still know that I'm making my attempt to cover. And how I see it anyway is that I think God sees that. I think God sees that, you know, I'm making my own attempt to cover, and it might not be the full way. It might not be exactly how it should be, but I'm doing what I can and what I want and what I feel comfortable with. And I don't think anybody else should be shitting all over somebody else's journey, because like I said, it's something very personal. It's really difficult. People forget how difficult it is, especially when you're living in England, to cover up fully and, you know, very like boldly, pretty much, you know, as soon as you cover your hair, everyone knows you're a Muslim. Like there's no doubt about it. And that's something that's quite difficult to face when you're already a minority anyways. But yeah, that's how I started wearing it. I started wearing it properly. Then I had this transition phase when I had, oh, that was my brother. He sneezed. Sorry. I had this transition phase. And then after that transition phase, because I got so upset and I guess hurt by a lot of the things people were saying, I had a phase where I thought, I'm just going to take it off then, because clearly some people are saying this for a reason. I took it off. And then when I took it off, it was hilarious, because then people were like, oh, why did you take it off? And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, were you not here like the past like 6 months when you were like saying all this abuse to me about how I'm doing it wrong and that how it's, you know, it's embarrassing and it's this and it's that. And then I don't know what happened. I think I was just lying awake in bed one night and I thought, why did I let people change my identity? Like, fair enough. Like, I knew I wasn't doing it the correct form as such, but then that's not a reason to let somebody else completely shit all over who you are as a human being, that your identity. Like, I shouldn't have let them rain on my parade like that, because at the end of the day, we're imperfect. We're humans. Of course we're imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. It's just unfortunate that some people's mistakes are more obvious than others. When I realized that, I thought, you know what, that's fine. I'm going to wear my headscarf exactly how I feel comfortable wearing it. And that's basically what I do now. And that was basically what I wrote about in my hijab article, this entire journey, you know, from start to finish. And, you know, basically the significance of that article was just, don't shit over people, you know, don't judge people. Like, everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own stuff they're dealing with. Like, just let them do them.
Yeah. You started wearing it when you said you were like 14 or so. And then when you started wearing it, like in school and stuff, although you said secondary school was quite a diverse place.
People were lovely. Like, non-Muslim friends, Muslim friends, they were all really sweet about it. They were like, oh, you look so cute. You look so nice. And I was like, oh, thank you. Okay. But yeah, again, people were supportive. But yeah, it's really funny. Like, everyone, there's like a common theme when it comes to like, there's this concept, hijabis get it. It's called hijab puberty. And it's like, you know how when you grow up and obviously you go through your ugly phases and you look clapped and then you look weird and then you get a bit better looking. You know what I'm on about, right? It's the same with hijab. When you first start wearing it, you have no idea what you're doing. So I'm like, I'm just going to tie this cloth here, and you kind of look like a Muppet. And then as you get older, you're like, oh, I figured out how to do it. So yeah, you just kind of evolve. And over the years, you find ways to best suit yourself and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very much like, people always say like, oh, you're lucky you don't have to worry about hair as much. But I mean, you still do, because I think when you wear a headscarf, especially when women wear headscarves, like fully covering their hair, you have to think of like a perfect way to wear it so that it, you know, suits your face and compliments you and stuff like that.
What I remember, like, most recently at least, is every time someone mentions the hijab, I always think about the time when there was controversy when I think Nike released the
Oh, God.
one. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, how the fuck do people have an issue with this? Like,
Wait, so what did they have an issue with?
like, I think people just had an issue with Nike releasing a hijab, like a sports hijab for obviously.
When did that happen?
Like a few years ago, 5 years ago.
It's not like super recent, but like it was recent enough that that's the first thing that comes to our mind. Like, people had an issue with this as if it bothered their daily livelihoods by them seeing another section in a shop.
Oh, they still sell it?
Yeah, they still sell it, but I'm just like,
25 quid on ASOS.
I just never understood why people had an issue with this. There's like also many articles on it. Like, you still see like many articles on as if one new product affected them so immensely when they didn't need it.
I'm confused though. Like, who was it who was hating on it? Was it people who didn't like hijab? Because I know there were Muslims who were complaining too.
I don't know about the Muslim one. I saw non-Muslim issues with it. It seemed. I'm pretty sure there was an article from one of the big media outlets that was removed or something.
Oh no! To be fair, it wasn't that bit much of an issue. It was more just I saw that here and there comments. Muslims would be like, "Why are y'all just like using something that like?"
Because is it made these seem as like Nike releasing it's like a fashion thing?
I think some people felt that, but I think the only issue I had, it wasn't even an issue, but I just thought, mate, why is it 35 quid? That was it. That's all I said. I was like, it does the job, I'm sure, but it's like, I literally have like, again, like when I went through my hijab puberty, I used to wear scarves like that when I was a kid. Imagine, yeah, when I was like 14, I'd have things like that because again, they're just like tightly fitted and they're good for sport. But I can go to Southall and get one of them for 4 quid. Like, I don't see why, like, I don't see why they're sitting here and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to charge 25 quid for this amazing piece. It's literally just a piece of cloth that has that tick on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. People are always going to have a problem, aren't they? Like, you can't please everyone, sorry. I mean, it's the same because with that hijab article I wrote, you will not believe the abuse that I got for that article. Oh my good God. Yeah. And it was hilarious because there was haters, you know, there were the Islamophobes, which I completely expected. And then there were the Muslims who were like, oh my God, haram, you're forbidden. This is wrong. You're promoting evil, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was like, oh, how cute is that? Like, I finally allowed the Islamophobes and the Muslims to unite in their hatred for me. So I've done something, right? But yeah, it was just really funny because I was like, who would have thought that this is the one thing that makes you guys unite? Like, it was just hilarious because my whole article, the point of that was just, you can't please everyone, so just do your thing and mind your business. Everyone's on their journey. You can't judge people. That was it. That was the reason I wrote it. And in the comments, so many people were like, I don't want to read about this stuff. I don't care about this.
Don't read it then.
Yeah, innit? I was like, you clearly care enough to comment. But all right, safe. You do your thing, boo. But yeah, like loads of people were commenting. So Islamophobes, again, like I didn't mind them as much because I kind of expected it. And you know that when someone's that far gone in their belief, it's like, I can't change you and I'm fine with that. But when it's like other Muslims shitting over you, I think that's like the problem. And essentially that was the problem because imagine the first time I took my headscarf off, it was because of Muslims who said, you're wearing it wrong. And fair enough. Like I can see, like I said, some of them were very well intentioned. But if you're going to tell someone they're doing something completely wrong and that it's better for them to take it off, then, you know, if anything, you're leading them further away from faith, right? So why do you think that's a good thing? Why do you think that's right? So yeah, it's just funny because I wrote all of that. I poured my heart out and I was like, they still don't get it. But I guess people who aren't going to get it just aren't going to get it.
Yeah. People would rather spend time to write a comment on an Insta post than to scroll past it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, that's what I mean. And I think that was a tough pill I had to swallow when it came to journalism. Understanding that not everyone is going to be willing to shift their views. Because like I said, I have this hippie approach of, yeah, let's all love each other. Let's all make people love each other. But you can't make anyone love anyone, unfortunately. Even if you think you're spreading peace and you're spreading, you know, this idea of coexistence and love. If people don't harbor that in their heart to start with, it's never going to come. So you can't, there's only so much you can do with certain people. And I think that was the toughest pill for me to swallow because dealing with that, I almost felt like I had haters in a way in that comment section. I was like, oh my God. And I remember I'd be like, it really got to me. Like, I remember the next day, like I randomly woke up at 5 a.m., checked the comments and then went back to sleep. Like, this is how deep it got for me. So yeah, it's just really, it's just sad. I think, like I said, people people aren't willing to really make a difference, but they're willing to spread that hate, and they're willing to just, they're just not willing to see things from other people's perspectives, I guess.
Have you seen the Spanish TV show Elite?
I watched a bit of it. I wasn't that into it, but I know that caused some controversy, right?
Yeah, because there's a character in there called Nadia who like
wears a hijab.
Yeah, but then she ends up on this scholarship to like this really fancy like private school or whatever with a load of like rich people, and then they threaten to expel her if she wears her hijab. And then she like takes it off. She just goes with it.
Yeah.
Like, and stops wearing it like in school. So there's a lot of controversy where it's just kind of like, yeah, she just went with the status quo with it all.
Exactly. I mean, I'm so numb to these storylines because every storyline, like when I see a hijabi, I get excited. And then I'm like, well, actually, I bet by episode 3, she's going to rip her hijab off and start dating a white dude. Like it always happens.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
That's what Nadia did, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's fine. Like, the whole day, because the thing is, these are all issues that are prevalent in society, like, you know, interracial or interfaith dating and things like that. I think that's amazing that people are talking about it, but it's always, oh my God, white man, you have opened my eyes. I am oppressed. And then they just rip it off. And I'm like, really? Like, come on. I'm so sick of this story. I'm sick of that narrative. Like, I've heard it so many times before. But yeah, it's just ridiculous, to be honest. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. We've got like Wax Lyrical is a game where do you know how the game goes?
It's when you say a word and I have to sing a song with that word in the lyrics.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got like a few words prepared. So it'll be you against Hamish. So yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward game. There's no really. Oh, let's do like buzzers or something. So like if you want to go first, you gotta like. Yeah, just say something. What would you want your like buzzer to be?
Bing.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just gonna say buzz then.
Okay, cool. First word. Let's start off easy, and that is stars.
Bing.
Oh no, buzz. Oh, okay, go on.
Written in the stars, a million miles away.
I was gonna go for airplane.
Yeah, airplanes is actually where I like took it from.
Yeah.
But cool. 1 point.
This is actually way tougher. I was trying to think, I'm like, I know there's stars in airplanes, but I don't want to sing it and then it's not there yet suddenly.
Yep. What is it? Mind block? Mental block?
Yeah.
Is that the word or phrase? Okay. Second word, home.
Bing. I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
They say looking good for you, Hamish.
Bro, we never win any of the games on this.
Third word, every day.
Oh, it's a K-pop song. Am I allowed to sing K-pop?
Go on.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, I might verify it.
Bing. Every day, every day, with you. You won't know the song though, that's the thing, so it's very unhelpful.
I was trying to think of that Logic song, but I couldn't because the first thing that came to my mind was the Jake Paul song. I was like, I'm not playing it.
Oh, I wait you. That's why I put it in.
I refused to say it, Aaron, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until I can figure out what the Logic lyrics are.
Oh, I forgot that song. Oh my God.
I refused to just do it. I just refused.
That was horrendous.
Okay. Fourth word, sauce.
Bing. Have you heard Juice? It was in. Have you seen the film Triple X with Vin Diesel? It had Deepika Padukone as well.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
There's a K-pop singer in there. He made his like American film debut. Anyway, there's a song he does called Juice, and there's one line where he says, "I've got the sauce." That's it.
Can you give us a little bar from it?
I can't lose. I got juice, and they know I do. Come through with the sauce. Something. Getting nasty. I got the sauce, there we go.
In my head, I'm trying to think of like the Skepta AJ Tracy lyric with it, but I don't know which song it's going to.
Our tastes in music are very different.
Okay, fifth word, block.
Buzz. New Up block got me on maps trying to plan the route. That's a K-trap. That's a K-trap one. New Up block. I know that. I know that's a real bar.
Yeah.
Appreciate that one. I think that one was handed to me there.
Okay.
Are you verifying it, bro? I'm telling you.
No, I'm not verifying. I believe you.
That's a pretty sick bar. I don't think.
You said it. You gave it like the gum fingers and everything. So
yeah,
the sixth word, stronger.
Bing. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes.
I was thinking of the
Okay,
Kanye
good.
West one, but I couldn't figure out how the rhythm
Oh
was for a second.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
forgot the rhythm to that as well. You're right.
7th word. Name.
Bing.
Oh, okay, got him.
Call out my name. I've forgotten the tune. You know, by the weekend.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm not gonna. She's right, Aaron, but she hasn't sung it. She hasn't sung it. I know what she's talking about. I know the
Call
exact song
out
because it's one of my favorite.
name.
Oh shit, that was actually fairly good.
That one.
I was gonna say "Say My Name," "Say My Name."
Oh, of course. That was a much easier one.
Hey, you just need to get on the buzzer quicker.
Bro, I'm too slow, and I'm not usually the slow one.
We'll do 10. 8th word. Close.
Bing. Space was just a word that. Oh shit. Space was just a word that created by people who are too scared to get close. I've forgotten the tune, but I remember that lyric. There's it's by Nick Jonas and Tovlo. It's called Close. It's literally called Close.
Am I allowed to try and steal this?
You could, if you give me a go on.
Fuck, I don't know the exact name. It's like, you know the song by Chainsmokers, "Closer." I don't know if this will count. So it's like, so
Legit,
baby, pull
that
my
doesn't
close.
count.
So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover.
Raw, are you reading the lyrics as we speak?
Yeah, I see your eyes.
No, I
You
saw
can't
your
allow
eyes
that,
moving,
can't allow
man. You
that.
can't fool us.
Because I wasn't sure if it was close or closer, so I actually checked up at the same time. Like, shit, should I?
Yeah, that doesn't count. I was thinking that too. Nice try. Nice try.
Thank you. The speed, it wasn't there.
Okay, I'm not going to give anyone points for that.
That's one less point I lost by, so it's fine.
Okay, 8th word. I'll go for that word again. Chocolate.
I'm thinking it's stiff chocolate here, and I can't actually. He says it in so many songs.
Bing, but it's a K-pop song again.
Okay.
There's a lyric. It goes, "Peaches and cream, sweeter than sweet, chocolate cheeks and chocolate wings." There we go.
Oh, I have one now, but it's too late.
Okay.
I have such a playlist of songs in my head. It's quite. I'm so versatile. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is impressive stuff. The scoreboard is looking a bit. The penultimate word, wheel.
Bruh, I have no clue.
To be honest, I just made the word up. I ain't basing it off a song.
You know, all I can think of is the Wheel of Fortunes, that game show, but that's not a song.
Aaron, give us a different song. A
Okay,
different one.
okay. I'll make this last one for double points. Do you know what? Let's make it triple points.
Can't wait to lose by more points.
Master.
I'm thinking of a P Money diss track when he tells Dot Rotten that he's using Master Writer, but I can't say it in P Money flow. He's too goated. Damn it.
I mean, you'd probably get that because I can't think of anything with mastering.
Can I say like P Money Real Talk is the song? He talks about Dot Rotten using Master Writer. I don't know if that's worth like 0.25 more point. Yeah.
I'll do a different one. Babes.
Babes.
Or babe. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to give Hamish some points here.
I'm thinking of Man's Not Hot.
I've like chosen a song for it.
I don't know which Man's Not Hot song it is.
Man's not hot. Oh my god. Babe, take off your jacket. Man's not hot. There
Oh,
we go.
that's it. No.
I said babes.
She
Take off
didn't
your jacket.
buzz. She didn't buzz.
Yeah, but Bing.
No,
there
she
we go,
gets it.
done.
She gets it. The thing is, I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking Yo Babes by Shaka.
Oh man, I thought you purposely put that for Man's Not Hot, but I was like, where's the lyric where he says babe? I'm thinking like,
I said babes. Take off your jacket.
Oh, so that's a 3
That wasn't
pointer
even
there.
a bar. That wasn't even a bar. It was just a line.
I'll take the assist though. I'll take 1 point for the assist. Cheers.
Do you want 1 point? I'll give you
Should
1 point for your
yeah.
assist.
Okay, cool. That's fair.
Okay, Hamish still loses by 8 points.
Yay.
Arub is a score of 10-2.
Yay. Do I take the crown then?
Yeah. You get the that might be one of the biggest scoreline wins
Wow.
we've had on the podcast, yeah.
On third wheel history.
Biggest game goal difference.
Bruh.
Yeah.
I guess on that note, usually we close off the episode on the same kind of note. We have like 3 final questions, 2 of which are custom picked. Then we have a call out and a shout out. So we'll start off with the first final question, which is, what is one thing you'd like to change in the world, or you wish could be different?
It's so hard to pick one, but I think if I had to, it would be it would literally be, and I know you're going to roll your eyes because it goes back to my whole hippie mentality, but it would literally be, I wish people could just be open to understanding each other. That's it. I wish people weren't so closed off. That's what I'd want to change.
I tried really hard not to like open, roll my eyes there. I was like, wait, am I just going to do it like
It's
automatically?
directed at you.
Question number 2 is, what is your biggest regret?
This was really hard for me to think because I was like, of all the shit I've done, what do I regret the most? But then I realized it's the things, again, cliche, it's the things you don't do that you regret. And I think all throughout my school life, I was a very well-behaved, good kid who only did her studies, and everyone else would be out and having fun. I wish I just had more fun as a kid. I'd say that was it.
No, that's fair. Call out. Yes, this bit's call out so you can like nominate one of many people to like come on the pod.
Yeah. So is this my nomination time?
Yep.
Okay. So I nominate 4 friends. One of my friends is Anam. Another friend, Dal Jinder. Another friend, Alima. And my older sister, Amber.
Awesome. We'll we'll get you to send over like their Instagram names and stuff like that so we can like tag them when we release your episode.
So the final section is a shout out. Basically, you can just promote anything you want, whether it's social media, your journalism, some work, your portfolio, etc.
I was gonna say, do I look like a prick if I promote myself?
No, go for it.
It's often done. So.
Okay.
By that logic, you have many pricks.
They probably do have many pricks, to be honest. In that case, I would like to promote my documentary, which was when did it come out? It's been a few months now, 4 or 5 months. I'd like to promote that, and I'd also like to promote my independent works on the Metro. So yeah, I can provide links, I guess, to that.
I'm gonna same thing I shouted out last week. I was recently on a podcast called List Envy, which is run by a guy called Mark Steadman, and his podcast is basically every episode he has a guest on and they talk about top 5 something. And with me, it was top 5 biopics, so like biographical films. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. I even included a Bollywood film in there, so go check it out. The one I pronounced wrong earlier in the episode, so I'm not going to try again.
And I'm just going to promote a song by Tion Wayne and Russ called Body, and Loki's new EP, Awake. Check it out if you haven't already. And then also just check us out on Twitch. As always, leave a follow. Feel free to drop in on some of the live streams. And yeah, that's it from me.
And thanks, Arub, for coming on.
And nice meeting you.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for sorting out all my audio bullshit, because that's been like this for a while. You guys fixed it, so thank you.
Man like Hamish.
That's why we got comp-sci degrees in it.
Putting them to good use, yeah.
Yeah, thanks to everyone else for listening as well. And yeah, I guess we'll just speak to you next week.
All right.
All right, see you guys.
In a minute.
Bye, guys.
Bye.